So here we have a clown in Rachel Maddow interviewing the governor of Illinois, probably the most outrageous when it comes to his propaganda and his statements, comparing this to the Nazi SS. And he says, I happen to know something about that, being Jewish and serving. You know nothing about it. Zero about it. Sickening. And the idea that this guy says he knows something about the Holocaust and he's still a Democrat? Oh, Mark, what do you mean by that? Well, that's the party Mondami's in, not in my party. That's the party Tlaib is in, and Omar's in, and all the rest of them are in, right? They have a man named Pritzker. He didn't earn anything on his own. He's a trust fund baby of the worst kind. He's a multi-billionaire. He's bought himself a governorship. He's bought himself a state. He wants to be president of the United States, and he uses the most outrageous propaganda you can think of. So now they're saying that Donald Trump is trying to militarize our cities, militarize them to control the midterm elections and the 2028 election. Now, where are they getting this from? The deep recesses of their minds, such as they are. And so again, these are signals to their militia, the illegal aliens, the Democrat Party radical activists in the streets, that this is worth fighting for. He's trying to steal the next election, and the election after that. He's trying to militarize our cities. Go.
Let me just ask you the big picture question here, which is that you have described, and we have seen in open reporting and on social media and even in exhibits filed with other people's lawsuits against these actions by the Trump administration, we have seen tactics against the people of Chicago that look very much like military tactics.
All right, hold on now. These are not tactics against the people of Chicago. The people of Chicago have been begging for law and order. This mayor has like a 15% popularity rate. The governor doesn't give a damn about these people in Chicago. He just figures they're going to vote Democrat. That's what he figures. They look militaristic. I want you to do yourselves a favor. I want you to go back and look at Orville Faubus, Little Rock, Arkansas. When Faubus called out the National Guard to prevent black students from attending the high school in Little Rock. Looks very military. And then Dwight Eisenhower comes in, and what does he do? He federalizes the National Guard. They literally turn around and they protect and escort those black kids into that high school to integrate it. Looked very militaristic, you know. Very militaristic it looked. Want another historical example, a little older? How about Ulysses S. Grant, one of the great presidents that doesn't get the credit that he deserves? He had to deal with the aftermath of the Civil War because Andrew Johnson was a complete failure, and purposely so. He'd been a Democrat, he wasn't for the Civil War, but he was very sympathetic, and he was a racist. After that, in comes Ulysses S. Grant. What do they have? They had the Ku Klux Klan, which is a terrorist militia that was slaughtering blacks, burning black churches, lynching blacks, intimidating blacks to vote. And what did he do? Use the Insurrection Act. To do what? To send the army down south, and he damn near wiped out the Klan. The army, military men, look very militaristic, you know, very militaristic. By the way, you know what happened next? The Democrats won the House of Representatives. They cut off all the funding for the army to fight the Klan, and so the Klan came back. And of course, the Klan came back right through into more modern times. Lots of examples where active duty military have been used in the name of peace and law and order. Looks very militaristic, you know, very militaristic. Remember the riots in Watts in LA generally, after the Rodney King verdict, which the police officers were found not guilty? Remember the violence and the death? Some 50-some people were murdered and buildings were burning. Riots were taking place. George H.W. Bush, not exactly known as a dictator, you know. He sent in the Marines under the insurrection. Looked very militaristic, you know. But he had to put down those riots, and he did. And I can give you scores of examples because this has been done 20 or so times by presidents, starting with Thomas Jefferson. President hasn't even triggered the Insurrection Act yet. He may need to, I think. Probably will have to. He's trying to take steps short of the Insurrection Act. He's not given any credit for it. So here we have a clown in Rachel Maddow, a clown that pushed the dossier conspiracy, the Russia conspiracy, for years lied, spewed hate and BS to her audience, interviewing the governor of Illinois, probably the most outrageous when it comes to his propaganda and his statements, comparing this to the Nazi SS. And he says, I happen to know something about that, being Jewish and serving. You know nothing about it, zero about it, to make such an outrageous analogy. Sickening. And the idea that this guy says he knows something about the Holocaust and the Nazis and so forth, and he's still a Democrat? Oh, Mark, what do you mean by that? Well, that's the party Mondami's in, not in my party. That's the party Tlaib is in, and Omar's in, and all the rest of them are in, right? Go.
Using Black Hawk helicopters, the apartment building that they ransacked, broke down all the doors, took all of the residents out of, the way that they've behaved on the street, using military-style vehicles and weapons.
Okay, using military-style, they're using vehicles that they need to use because people are throwing stones and bricks and shooting at them. But why does that matter? What it shows you is that the locals aren't helping in removing illegal aliens. They're protecting them. And that those American patriot citizens who sign up to do these jobs, who have families too, have to protect themselves as they do their jobs. Most instances, they're not even looking for just illegal aliens. They're looking for criminals, known criminals, murderers, rapists, drug dealers, gang members. What are they supposed to do? Walk in like the Girl Scouts? I don't understand. Go.
In the faces of people on the streets of Chicago. That's before troops get there. And now he's saying Trump is...
I've had enough. I've had enough. She and he are the ones promoting violence. If that governor were doing his job, none of this would be necessary. Tell me, how come none of this is going on in Florida? It's a big immigration state, for obvious reasons. How come none of it's going on in Florida? How come none of this is going on in Texas? One of the biggest of the immigration states. How come that's not going on in Texas? How come you don't have these confrontations in these big red states with a whole lot of migrants and a diverse population? Why is that? Why is it? How come Abbott doesn't talk like Pritzker? How come DeSantis doesn't talk like Newsom? How come their local law enforcement and state law enforcement are cooperating with the feds, where most of it's going on very smoothly, under the radar, not even any media? Why is that? That would be my question to Pritzker. He's a gutless wonder. He'll never come on my programs. Newsom won't come on the programs. None of them will. But why is it that this is only happening in blue cities and blue states? You don't see it in Miami, do you? You don't see it in Houston. That's a big damn city. Or Dallas, or San Antonio. Do you? No. Because the governors are following the law. They're working with the feds. They want the illegals out, particularly the criminals. These guys don't. That's the difference.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.